Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I am here to recommend you my favorite spiritual books in no particular order. So the first book that I'm recommending you is The Power of Now, A Guide to Spiritual Enlightenment by Eckhart Tolle. So this is the kind of book that you want to go slow with to allow yourself time to reflect on his teachings. He even offers suggestions in his book on such moments where you can pause and reflect. So you definitely don't want to rush through it because he offers a lot of concepts that are a little bit hard to understand at first. So you really need to open your mind to it. Essentially, Eckhart explains how being in the now is how we achieve consciousness and enlightenment, and the importance of surrendering to the present moment without labeling anything. So this is how we achieve true freedom from mind identification and all the suffering that the mind creates. He offers in his book many ways in which we can practice being in the now, which I find really useful. So one of the teachings I particularly liked in his book is the release of all kinds of identification, whether social, personal, professional, in order for us to achieve true freedom, liberation, and enlightenment. Another teaching that I thoroughly enjoyed reading because it really felt like I was having a aha moment was the concept of surrender. I think that not just only for me but for many of us, the concept of surrendering is very difficult to understand and put into practice. And he explains that surrendering to the moment is just accepting what is at the present moment without resisting it, which only creates pain and sorrow. So by accepting and surrendering to the present moment, we are able to have a clearer state of mind and being so that we can then take action to change whatever we want to change. So he's not telling you to not do anything or not taking any action or just giving up. He's just saying that surrender is something that you do in the present moment. It doesn't mean that you need to surrender to the whole situation that you're not comfortable with or you don't like. He's just saying that accepting what is at the present moment is easier for us than if we resist it or label it or judge it, because then we're just creating even more pain and more sorrow, and we can even make better decisions by accepting what is at the moment and then making plans to change whatever it is that we don't want or don't like in our current situation. So I particularly enjoyed this book because I feel like it's such a source of so much wisdom, and I do acknowledge how complex most of his concepts are, but he really finds a way to explain them from many different ways and from many different angles. And particularly his writing method in the book with the question and the answer structure, I feel like it just makes it easier for us. And in the end, I feel like all the questions that we may have do get answered. So I do really recommend this book because I feel like it really opens your mind to so many concepts and ideas that you may never have thought of before. So again, a very beautiful book to read. And I also recommend his videos online. If you go on YouTube, he has a YouTube channel where you can find many of his videos with many of his teachings in case you don't have money to buy a book or you just don't feel like reading his books. And he has so many videos that are free to watch in case you want to. So the second book that I recommend is The Untethered Soul, The Journey Beyond Self by Michael A. Singer. For me, I feel like this may be my top 5 books because I feel like it was so eye-opening, and it feels like Singer could see right through the most mundane and common ways that we see, think, and experience life that we may be so oblivious about. It was almost frightening and mind-blowing sometimes when he would explain situations, like the most ordinary situations in our lives that we're not really conscious about, and it feels like he was talking to me directly, and which I felt really, really absorbing. So he truly examines how our thought and emotional process can really cause us more harm than we can imagine. And he shows us how our ways of thinking and experiencing life is actually keeping us from truly living and feeling joyful. So he teaches us how we can live our lives from the seat of awareness, which basically means that we are the observers of our experiences and not the experiences themselves. So we are not what we think or feel, we are the observers of our emotions and our thoughts. So we are the ones who are conscious of it all. So it's very important for us to release any kind of identification with our thoughts, our feelings, and our experiences, because we are the ones who are aware of all of it. And this is how we become an awakened being. So he also teaches us how to surrender to the extremes of life and find balance and peace in our life. So for example, if something triggers you, immediately after you notice it, just relax your shoulders, relax your heart, breathe in and just let it go. Don't get involved with it, just be aware of it and let it pass through you. This is how you can allow the energy to continue to flow and release any blockages. So these kinds of practices are very important because, as Singer explains in his book, we tend to store these kind of feelings and energies and emotions and experiences in ourselves, which later trigger us in our life because we don't know how to process them. So we tend to either ignore it or engage time and energy on it. So to free ourselves, we need to fight this urge to close our heart and relax and open instead, which basically means that the more we resist it, the more it gets stuck within us. So being aware of it is the key so that we can then process what is happening to us. So I really do recommend this book because it really goes beyond the surface and it helps you understand who you are and how we can live our lives truly free and liberated and aware and conscious, which I find really, really not only interesting but extremely helpful. So the third book that I recommend is Trust Your Vibes, Secret Tools for Sixth Sensory Living by Sonia Choquette. I would say it is a perfect book for those who are beginning their spiritual journey. Sonia was for me the perfect spiritual teacher because she had the answers, solutions, and guidance that I needed at the time that I initiated my own spiritual journey. And honestly, returning to this book from time to time is such a great reminder of the basics, and not just the basics, but really the most profound things, because I feel like this is just that push for us to really reconnect with one of the most important tools that we have, that is our intuition, and that we've kind of lost it throughout the years because of the kind of society that we live in. And it's almost like we are able to reconnect with something that is so intrinsic and so innate within us and so important, because it really helps us in everything in our lives. This book covers so much, not only spiritually, but it also helps us to reconnect with that creative and authentic part of ourselves and to trust in ourselves. It feels like almost like you're giving your authorization and you're giving the permission to be yourself and to trust in yourself and to trust in your own guidance and not having to depend on others so much, and just being able to rely on yourself. One of the things I really like about this book is that Sonia offers techniques and practical exercises for us to receive and interpret our intuitive guidance, not only from our own intuition, but also from the universe and our spiritual helpers and guides. But we also learn how to distinguish between our ego's voice and our higher self's voice, so that we can be better equipped to making the right decisions for us by listening and knowing, okay, who is guiding me at this time and who is talking to me at this time, and who am I listening to at this time? Is it my ego or is it my higher self? And then you can make the right choices for you. So when I first read this book, it was the beginning of my spiritual awareness and spiritual awakening, and I found that each chapter provided me with exactly the answers that I needed at the time that I was reading them. So it was very fascinating. I felt like I was being guided to read this book because it felt like I was just given the tools and the help and support that I needed during that process. So this book has a very special place in my heart, and I really had to include it in this list of my favorite spiritual books because it really was important for me, and I find that this could be a very important book for many of you as well. Again, you can also follow Sonia Choket on her social media, which she also offers so much wisdom, and she provides so much material there as well in case you want to listen to her and see if maybe she is a right fit for you. But I do really recommend her, and I feel like she's a wonderful spiritual teacher for anyone. The fourth book that I'm recommending you is The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. So this is a self-help and spiritual book based on the ancient Toltec wisdom. The book presents 4 agreements that, if adopted and practiced, can lead to personal freedom, fulfillment, and spiritual transformation. In this book, Don Miguel Ruiz explains that throughout our lives, we accept and embody certain agreements that translate into beliefs that limit us and limit our view not only about ourselves but the world in general. So he offers 4 essential agreements that we should adopt and practice to replace those old agreements that do not serve us. So the agreements are as follow. So the first agreement is be impeccable with your word. The second agreement is don't take anything personally. The third agreement is don't make assumptions. The fourth agreement is always do your best. So the first agreement, be impeccable with your word, is all about the power of our words and the importance of using our words with integrity. So he encourages us to speak truthfully, to avoid any gossip, to avoid self-criticism, and to use our words to uplift and inspire others instead of doing harm. So the second agreement, don't take anything personally, discusses the importance of not being affected by anyone's opinion or action, because he suggests that the behaviors and opinions of others are a reflection of their own beliefs and issues, and it's not a reflection of ourselves or our worth. It's almost like if we take things personally, then we are kind of accepting their opinion and how they see us. So essentially how other people react or treat you is more of a reflection of themselves than of yourself or your worth or your value. So for the third agreement, don't make assumptions. Ruiz focuses on our problematic tendency to make assumptions about what other people's intentions and thoughts are about us, and we believe them to be true because we have this need to feel safe and to feel in the spaces, which we only do with our own beliefs and our own insecurities, which creates even more drama and more suffering most of the times. And all of this because we are afraid to ask questions and to clarify things. So we create a narrative and we then defend the narrative as true, which only creates even more conflicts in our relationships. And Ruiz explains us that the way to keep us from making assumptions is to ask questions instead of making assumptions of what the answers are, seeking a clear communication and deeper understanding with others. So for the fourth agreement, always do your best, Ruiz encourages us to always try and do the best that we can. However, he reminds us that our best isn't always linear. Even during the day, our best can be very different from depending on our mood, on our health, on our circumstances. So for example, if you're feeling really down, then our best can be just getting out of bed and making that effort. But if we commit to doing our best, then there won't be any room for self-judgment or criticism or blame. And we can live more intensely and more productively and feel more satisfaction on every level. So this fourth agreement ties all of these 4 agreements together in the sense that you will not always be impeccable with your word, you will not always not take it personally, and you will not always not make assumptions. But the most important thing is to always do your best, and that will always be enough in order for us to release self-judgment and blame. And in the end, with time, those old habits will become weaker, and these new habits with these 4 agreements will become stronger. And that is the most important thing. So I really do recommend this book because I feel like there is so much wisdom in such a small book, and it's so easy to read, and you can read it in a few days. And I really feel like this is a roadmap to enlightenment, to personal transformation and liberation as well. So you can't really go wrong with this book. So the 5th book that I'm recommending to you today is Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life, Living the Wisdom of the Tao by Dr. Wayne Dyer. So in this book, Dr. Wayne Dyer explores the ancient wisdom of the Tao Te Ching, an ancient Chinese text with 81 verses, which has been attributed to the sage and prophet Lao Tzu. So this book is structured as a series of essays, each focused on the 81 verses of the Tao Te Ching, and Wayne Dyer provides contemporary wisdom and practical advice for applying these principles in the 21st century. And we are advised to read each of them at our own pace in order for us to apply these principles into our lives, in order for us to live in harmony with the universe. So some of the main teachings that are included are living with simplicity and detachment from material possessions and status symbols, giving to others without second agenda, and living without enemies, and seeing everyone and everything as part of the Tao, the universe, this life force that created us all, respecting nature and living with the flow and not exerting our force onto anyone or anything, and living without judgment and in the present moment. It is a very easy read, and each of his essays aren't too extensive. They're around 4 to 5 pages long. The most important thing is to read it at your own pace so that you can allow time to integrate these principles into your life. Throughout the book, Dr. Wayne Dyer provides us with practical exercises and examples to help us apply these teachings of the Tao Te Ching into our lives. And like Dr. Wayne Dyer says, if we change our thoughts and align with the principles of the Tao, we are able to experience personal and spiritual transformation and growth. As I have said in my previous videos, I love Dr. Wayne Dyer. He's honestly one of my favorite spiritual teachers, and I have a couple more of his books, and it's always such a lovely read. And again, if you can't afford his books or you don't have time to read, then you can always search on YouTube for his audiobooks, which are read by Dr. Wayne Dyer himself, because he was always such an advocate to have his materials available to everyone. I really enjoy listening to his audiobooks while I read his books, because I feel like I can have a more immersive experience, and I feel like his teachings and his message come through much more deeper. But that's something that I do. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It really just depends on my mood. So if that's something that you're interested in, you can do that as well. So the 6th book that I'm recommending to you is The Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda. This book is a memoir of Yogananda, an Indian yogi and spiritual teacher who introduced the teachings of yoga and meditation to the West. This book tells you his life story and describes his spiritual journey and experiences, and also offers us insights into the world of meditation, of Hinduism, and of the pursuit of a deeper understanding of ourselves and of the world. Yogananda was born in India in 1893. So since an early age, Yogananda was very spiritually curious and aware. So a part of this book is focused a lot on his journey on finding his spiritual guru. And he shares his profound experiences with various spiritual teachers, and eventually how he found his guru, who initiated him into the path of Kriya Yoga, which is a powerful form of yoga and meditation. Throughout the book, Yogananda describes the numerous encounters he had with remarkable individuals and the miraculous experiences that he witnessed or heard about. And these stories highlight the mystical and the extraordinary aspects of life and the divine. So what I most enjoyed about this book is we get to know these various teachers and saints and yogis that Yogananda met or heard about in his spiritual journey. It was so captivating to read about. And I feel like throughout this book, not only do we get to know Yogananda, who was a very important spiritual teacher, and we are also provided with a deep understanding of the self and the divine, as he shares throughout the book profound insights of the nature of the soul and the commonalities between the different religions, the connection between science and spirituality, and the path to spiritual enlightenment. This is truly a great book, and although it seems quite big, it is a quick read because you get so immersed in the stories. And honestly, this is one of the most interesting life stories that I have read about because it really breaks the limits of the ordinary, and you get to have a glimpse of the unlimited spiritual potentials of life. And honestly, I feel like this is a fantastic book for everyone. And last but not least, we have Dying to Be Me, My Journey from Cancer to Near Death to True Healing from Anita Moorjani. This book is a memoir by Anita Moorjani, who shares her remarkable near-death experience, which led to a transformative experience physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. In this book, Anita describes her near-death experience while she was in coma due to an advanced cancer, and what she experienced was something transcendental and transformational, where she felt unconditional love and a sense of oneness and the absence of fear. So she describes it all in her book. And what is more remarkable about her story is that after her NDE, she experienced total and miraculous recovery and healing from her cancer. So there were no medical or scientific explanations to what caused her spontaneous healing. And Anita understands that her healing was a result of the emotional and spiritual insights that she gained during her NDE. So a few things that I need to learn during her near-death experience is that we are all a part of a larger and eternal consciousness, that we are all interconnected and part of a universal source of love, and how fear and stress can cause illness, and on the other side, love and self-acceptance can promote healing and well-being, and how our dogmas and belief systems only keep us limited to the possibilities and potential that exist within us and around us. So Anita encourages us to embrace our authentic selves and release the need for external validation and acknowledge our inherent worth. Her story really illustrates the importance of releasing fear and embracing love in all aspects of our lives. I found this book to be beautifully well written, and it was so compelling, and it opens us up to the possibilities of what lies beyond life and helps us transform our views of ourselves, of life and death, and the universe. So this is a book that inspires us to reconsider our belief systems and transcend them in order for us to embody and embrace our magnificence. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have read any of these books, let me know in the comment section. If you have any recommendations, you can also leave them in the comment section. I would love to read them. And if you like this video, then don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button to support my channel. And sending you so much love and light, and see you in the next one. Bye.